So let's jump straight into the review. The episode begins with Virgil talking to someone. For me, I think that was Kassandra Lee, Shanae, or somebody from the government as a way to continue the Virgil witness protection story. Or maybe it was nobody important. Virgil gets another phone call, and that person is Ella, and she wants him to spend the night. This got Virgil so happy. He's thanking God for overthrowing Dame, as Dame has been giving Virgil problems, as she's been trying to smash Ella ever since he's moved there. When Virgil gets to Ella's place, you are introduced to Ella and Shawnee's uncle, who was not in the house previously. So either he does live there, but he was out of town, or he is just visiting. His name is Phoenix, but they call him Uncle, which makes me think this could be another Cousin Faith situation. His first name is Uncle, and his last name is Phoenix. Uncle Phoenix. Anyway, you learn a little bit of the Ella family. Ella's granddad has 18 kids. Wow. However, on top of all that, Uncle looks like Dane. Virgil even says he looks familiar. Once those two get acquainted and get to know each other, Virgil is then invited into the house and meets up with Ella. Now let's jump over to the timeline board and see where it takes place. Based on what Virgil said in this episode, which was, it's been a couple weeks since him and Ella last met. So it's either late January or early February 2025. Meaning it's been around 2 months since Virgil has moved there. Hopefully next episode, a confirmed date is said. If it is early February, then the next episode could be Valentine's Day. But based on the ending of this episode, it's either gonna take place the same day or the next day. Ella wants to do a double date between herself and Virgil and her uncle and his girlfriend that is on the way. Virgil, however, can't pay for it as his debit card isn't working. The money hasn't come through yet ever since he's moved there. This is why I said earlier that I think he was talking with the government. So when Virgil told the government that he wanted to stay with Lonnie, they gave him the card and said they will transfer whatever possible money they can to it. Along with that, this debit card should hold him over until they are able to move him out of Atlanta. This is why he's probably going to still be there in Atlanta for season 2 as the money is taking so long to come in. Uncle Phoenix and Virgil get into a little of a fight about Virgil's money problems, which makes not only them do the double date at the house, because you know, they weren't going to film at a restaurant, but also makes Uncle leave. And this is when Ella says that he actually graduated at 12 and is very smart, which I laughed at. But bro, the way he was talking, nah bro. Nah. I'll be honest, I was not a fan of this character. I was not a fan of Uncle Unc. He was annoying, and I could barely understand what he was saying. Time shine. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it had to be said. Anyway, Ella leaves to go change. Uncle's girlfriend arrives, and shockingly, it's Parrish, which means Parrish likes older men.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Parrish was actually shocked to see Virgil there. So all 4 of them meet up, and when it's time for date night, plans change. When Parrish and Unc leave to do, you know, stuff. Ella and Virgil are alone and are gonna do date night by themselves. But before anything can happen, Ella trips over nothing and it's revealed Ella is actually Shawnee, shocking Virgil and myself once again. Now, I would have revealed that a little bit better, like they started walking, Shawnee trips, and then the wig falls off. But tripping over nothing? Wow. Throughout the whole episode, this is why Ella was acting weird. I now know the difference between the two characters. Shawnee is much more flirtatious and has more sexual innuendos, while Ella talks normally and doesn't have sexual innuendos. Going forward, Virgil should not fall for it again. He should listen to how she talks, and the minute he sees Ella, he should go up to her and try to pull off a wig. Ella will scream in pain, telling him to stop, but the wig won't come off. Virgil will then stop and will say, I had to do a Scooby-Doo to make sure it was really you. Bars. It's a fool me once situation. Ella will then understand, but he should never do that again. Otherwise, there's gonna be problems. Parrish comes back as she puts Phoenix to sleep. Parrish and Shawnee get into an argument, and while that is happening, Virgil is slowly backing up and is going to leave. And when he opens the door, we have the return of the first legacy actor, Leenda, as a Christian, who was the neighbor to Amy Ashley and a fellow customer from the Diablo's sister family. I'll be honest, Leenda was at the bottom of legacy actors I expected to appear first, though I shouldn't be surprised as she was the first person in Virgil's video after his 2-year hiatus. I do want to point out the return was spoiled in the thumbnail, so that kind of ruined the surprise. I don't think that should be happening going forward. Imagine putting Efrangeliz in the thumbnail. That would ruin the surprise. Granted, that will also bring in the views, but still, don't spoil the return in the thumbnail. Anyway, Christian is not going to be be the neighbor to Lonnie and Shauna as she lives across the street from them? Or does she live across the street from Ella and Shawnee's place since the sisters live together? In any case, I'm pretty sure Lonnie and Shauna and Ella and Shawnee's houses are in the same neighborhood, though someone could correct me on that. When it comes to what I think Christian is going to bring to this revival, I'm only going to give away one prediction. Did the family send Christian to Virgil after Paris' message, or the ties between them broken? In my season 1 review, I did say they should introduce Christian's family, but back then they were connected to the Diablo sisters. Maybe the Christian family separated from them and they have their own prostitution scheme business. Virgil should even ask her this question, but Christian will say, we're not connected to them anymore. This is all me. But they are looking for you. But I'm not going to tell them where you are. I want you all to myself and my family. My cousin even misses you. However, I think it's most likely going to be the first option because you would think Christian and Parrish would get into a fight because she should know Parrish works for the Diablo sisters. But that's all I gotta say about that. I want to say is that I finally figured out a role for Shawnee, but I'll keep that to myself and see how it plays out in episode 7. Speaking of episodes, episode 6, my grade for it would be a 7.1 out of 10, just above episode 2. Last review, I said ranking when I meant rating. So here's the rating and the ranking this time. Episode 5 is still the best so far. With that being said, get your fingers up and say it with me. Bye.